Coming at you nearly live and direct from the Stephen King state of eternal weirdness and frostbite, we proudly bring to you the mystical duo of all things bizarre and macabre, as they will serve as your guides on a magical mystery tour de la Jolla of creepiness. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we have a special creepy full moon edition for you.
Very creepy full moon.
Yes, it is.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, just like you.
Aw, you're so sweet.
I am really not, but I try. It's 3 a.m. Right now where we're recording this. Obviously, it's not. Well, it might be 3 a.m. for you, wherever you're at.
Right.
But we're recording this at 3 a.m. on the full moon, and it's been totally the full moon rising the last few days. I've had a whole lot of full moon activity things. We've documented this. So see, the deal is I'm not going to sleep anyway.
Right. So you may as well be productive.
Right. I'm going to writhe in pain. It's going to be one of those weird nights where I half transform into
You're gonna
some
grow
beast.
some hair, you know, something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what better thing to do than to come to you guys in our creepy 170-year-old podcasting studio that we've got here in the Creepyville, USA. So it's been a weird week anyway.
It has been a very weird week.
Yeah, it's been a strange week. We had the 4th of July celebration.
Right, where I thought that I saw a UFO.
Yes, you did.
Everybody else looking at the fireworks. I'm looking the other direction.
It's the funny thing, because that would normally be, that's just us. We're out there, and we're in Augusta, Maine, at the fireworks deal. And by the way, I found out why the Maine taxes are so high.
Yeah, you did.
I've been trying to figure that out.
Right.
So, most people are enjoying the fireworks. I'm watching these fireworks go through not one, but 2 finales. Everybody claps. They think it's done. They're like, let's go home, Billy.
And then it starts again.
Yeah, and then it starts again, and it's really strange because it was almost like too much. It was almost like seizure level.
Right.
And
like
then,
you're not sure if it's something to be happy about,
right,
or if maybe you should.
Right, exactly. It's like,
worried.
did they drop the bomb? I mean, what's going on here? So absolutely, that was really cool. But during the fireworks, this is so great. Stacy's like, "What's that?" And so I look up over to my left, and there's this red light just sort of hovering, right? And I think because of where the mountain is right there, that is totally a radio tower.
Right.
And that's the first thing I think. I look up and I'm like, it's a radio tower.
I thought that first.
And I was like, silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids, And so we go over and we keep watching everything. So I look back over there maybe 2 minutes later, and I'll let you know, I did watch this thing for about 45 seconds or so to start with because Stacey had seen it move, right? So I look back over and it's gone, all right? So even at the first time I saw it, I thought, well, maybe that's a drone. I don't hear it, but possibly it's a drone, somebody recording the fireworks, right?
Right.
But when the fireworks actually started going, that thing was nowhere to be seen.
Right.
So it wasn't recording the fireworks.
No, because it would have been there the whole time.
Right.
I don't know what it was. I mean, I don't think that it was a UFO.
Well,
really.
It was unidentified.
I suppose, but
we're actually near an airport too. So you would think it would not be the best place. Low-flying aircraft go right through there to land.
Right.
So I don't even know if you could get a drone clearance per se. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
It was just an interesting thing, and it's us, right?
Yes. I just thought it was funny because while everybody else is looking this direction at the fireworks, for some reason I'm looking this direction.
Right.
In the sky.
Exactly.
Which is funny. I don't know.
And other people probably looked,
Probably.
And I'll tell you, like I said, it's been a strange week, and last night we kind of decompressed and we took the moonlit drive through the Yeti country in Maine.
Yes.
Because I keep up with wherever Maine Yeti hunters, whatever I watch all the videos.
Right.
So I found out where the most sightings are. And
Is that how you plan our drives?
every time.
You're like, let's go for a drive to this pretty country.
Every time. Actually, I will tell you something interesting. You remember I was telling you about the Yeti that was spotted in a field?
Right.
So we went through that field last night.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
I always wonder why you're like, look at all that. Look at this.
Do you remember
look how pretty.
do you remember when I turned everything down and I opened the moonroof and
Yeah.
I was like, all right, guys, this is where you could see a Sasquatch.
I thought you were kidding.
No.
Somebody really saw a Sasquatch.
That's
there.
where one of the sightings happened. And that's why I turned it on bright lights and wanted all the cars to pass me.
I see.
So that way we were in those woods. I wanted to have one come out so I could run it over and, just see what it's all about.
Right. I wouldn't let you run it over in our
look-
new car.
Let me ask you a question.
Right.
If you were to hit a hoaxer in a Bigfoot costume,
Right.
now this could be one for the people out there to answer. Is that considered murder?
If you kill him.
Yeah, I mean, what if you were, obviously scared,
Right.
and because what's your reaction? It's fight or flight kind of
I
thing,
don't know. Could you claim self-defense? It was a Sasquatch. I thought it was going to kill me.
Yeah, but even if you kill a Sasquatch, I thought about this on that show where they're trying to kill Bigfoot, right?
Right.
Isn't he like somewhat too close of a relative to really kill him?
Well, I would think he'd be endangered.
I mean, you think?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, there's one.
Well, there was one.
That we've
Until
seen.
you shot
I
it.
don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I know a lot of the listeners are huge Bigfoot enthusiasts, as we are quickly becoming from living in this canopy.
Oh, I know.
And I know it went through your mind last night, right?
Yeah,
So-
like how thick the woods
Right.
were and how dark.
And how easy.
There's no lights out there.
Right.
I mean,
How easy would it be to be in those woods and not be seen?
Yeah.
Go get your food at
couple
night.
of feet. A
Yeah.
couple of feet into those woods at night, and
You're done, man.
yeah, nobody could see you.
You're done.
Yeah.
And so, and you know what? Speaking of full moon, like I said, I was setting the mood for everybody. It's 3 a.m. So even if it's the middle of the day where you're at, go get in the closet. Put your headphones on right now and turn this up. Bring us close to you and just imagine it's 3 a.m. where you're at right now and enjoy this. But speaking of the full moon, I want to scare you a little bit.
Okay.
So, because this would have happened, I'm surprised this didn't happen to me. Right before we went on air, I saw a story hit. And so we don't have this. I don't think this is actually a news story anyway.
No.
But did you see the thing about where the moon got struck by a object?
I think I saw a headline, but I haven't actually.
Yeah, like a
read into it or
meteor,
anything.
asteroid, whatever.
Yeah, and it actually hit the moon.
It hit the moon. And the scary thing about it is, had it hit Earth, it would leave like a 65-foot deep crater.
Good gracious.
And I forget how many, tomahawk, like 10 tomahawk missiles.
How many bombs that's the equivalent of, or
the
whatever.
equivalent. It would have screwed some stuff up.
Right. Somebody would have died.
Right. Somebody's going to get hurt.
So when it hit the moon, was that something you could see?
With the naked eye.
Oh, wow.
With the naked eye.
That's cool.
It is. Whether it was like a UFO crashing into the moon.
What are the odds that you're looking at the moon at the exact time it gets hit?
Well, that's the rub, isn't
a
it?
meteorite.
That's the rub. How many times have you looked at the moon over the past 24 hours being a full moon?
Right.
Quite a lot. That's what I was telling, everyone last night was, during fireworks, 4th of July, I consider that like a high UFO time because everybody's looking up, right? And also full moons. I mean, because you're looking up.
Everybody's looking in the sky.
Yeah,
Yep,
you're looking
taking
for,
pictures and that kind of
right,
thing.
looking at the full moon. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of neat. But the best place for your full moonness is paranormalsideshow.com. That's your address to go find everything moony. Facebook.com/paranormalsideshow. Also, what are you looking at?
The light.
What's it doing?
It's flashing.
Is it?
Twice.
That's
It's done it twice.
That's really odd.
I wasn't going to say anything till the third time.
Well, I mean, by the third time, I could be dead. My back is to that.
I can see the door.
My back is to that hallway.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to distract you from
No,
your
no,
shilling.
no. That's fine. That's fine. In fact, don't edit this.
Okay.
Don't edit this.
Okay.
And for the people I scare when I come off of Paranormal Sideshow, which we now have confirmation that happens, I completely apologize.
I try to keep track of when it flashes, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So the first time was when we were talking about the UFO at the fireworks.
Right.
And the second time was when you're talking about the moon.
Well, that's
Meteorite
weird.
getting hitting the moon.
When this happened last time, weren't we talking about aliens?
I think so. I think so.
That's really strange. All right, so
I'm trying not to be creeped out right now.
I'm going to throw some more life into you guys. So here for the past 2 weeks, back on Haunted South TV or the Haunted South podcast, when we were doing that, we had Marie D. Jones, who wrote 1111, the Time Prompt Phenomena book.
Yeah.
And we had her on several times. I think we had her on.
Yeah, we were talking about synchronicity
like 3
and all
times.
that stuff, yeah.
This book is from the future and all this stuff. So, interesting read, but the reason I was so interested in it, and Marie is still a friend to this day, but the reason I was so interested in it to start with is because that had happened to us back in 97 when we had first got together. And that was really the first time that weird, every time you look at the clock, it's 3:33.
Right.
All right. In that time, it was really 3:33. That was the big thing for us. As the years go on, the kids were doing the 11:11 Make-A-Wish. And I'm like, nah, you stupid kids.
Right.
But I started seeing, at different times, 11:11, 1:11, all in a row. Ones is the big thing for me. So for the past couple of weeks, every stinking time I'm looking at a clock, it's 11:11, it's 3:33, it's 1:11. It's something like that.
Right.
And mostly 1:11 and 11:11. So it didn't creep me out that bad for the first couple of days. And then my logical mind starts working and I start thinking, you know what? I'm probably seeing other times, but I'm triggered to notice when it says 11:11.
Right.
All right. You and I discussed internal clock. Maybe you're just, there's things we don't understand about our own brains.
Right.
Maybe we're triggering and looking at it at 11:11, right? But I have all that thought going on, so I really don't think that's it.
Right.
Because I'm consciously thinking of that. I don't think that can be it.
Well, I know over the same time period, there's been several times where you've texted me out of the blue during the day from work, and and I got the text at 3:33 or at 11:11, and I even went to the restaurant. My order number was 3:33 today.
That's really strange.
I meant to tell you that. I forgot.
That happened the other night too with something. And I think we went out to eat the other night, and there was something about it that it might have been ticket number or something.
Or a cost of something or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Here for the last couple of weeks, everything has been coming up ones for me. Lots of digits. So just something, if that's happening to anybody else out there, it's kind of like the buzzing in my ears for the past year. If it's happening to anybody else, let me know. Maybe it's a Mandela thing, or maybe it's
hopefully it's a good sign.
Maybe it's the flat earthers have figured out how to, mess with me. The Catholic Church is dialed in like some kind of
something
1:11 poison.
And the light.
Really?
Yes. Just now.
So that's the third time.
That was the third time. It's time to let you know.
Wow.
The light has turned off and on now in the other room. I'm here all day.
Yeah.
I'm in this house all day.
Right.
That light does not do that.
And let me build a visual for you guys. So when we did the Haunted South, we did Third Side, and we built our own little podcast studio, because we used to go to the first one was a TV studio where they built us a podcast studio.
Right.
The second one, the guy who owned the studio built us a podcast studio for the video podcast.
Right.
And so this one we were like, you know what? We want full control. We don't want any input. And no, we don't mean that bad, but we wanted it to be ran more with the community, with our listeners, friends of the show.
Exactly.
And us. So, we take everything into consideration, and it really feels like that unity. And the show's been growing by leaps and bounds. We don't ask you for any money. We don't spend, 20 minutes playing some AM radio station song that you've never heard before. We really just want to, get on here, and tell you a little bit about the week because it's normally pretty strange. Give you some news, have a main attraction, have some fun. So with all that said, building this in the house, we thought this is fantastic because we went to Stephen King land. We went to Haunted Maine.
Yes.
Very creepy Northeast. If you've never been up here and went through the woods, then you need to put it on your bucket list.
Yes.
Okay. Most beautiful country I've ever seen.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
But it's also the most haunted country I've ever seen.
I agree with that. Yes.
This house has the oldest tree in the city on our property. Okay. Huge tree. And we're really big with stuff like that. The house itself built in the 1850s and the early 1850s. So it's on the historic. We're in the historic district, all that stuff. So the house has had a lot of history. I mean, there's a lot of things in these walls,
right?
And we have stuff happen. It's an active location. So we were like, you know what, this is it. Let's not go get the little place. Let's do it here. But with that said, the only time it really ramps up is when we're doing the show.
Yeah.
And, we're in an area, our studio room is in an area where Stacey's at during the day,
Yeah.
So,
and as we're doing it, I can see through the door.
Right.
And there's a light on in the other room.
Right.
Which we just leave on most of the time. And it never flickers.
Right.
Ever. Unless we're doing the show.
So, and then my back is to it.
Right.
Every time. So is it going on and off?
Yeah. It's like it's on. So then it just goes off and back on. And sometimes it doesn't go off all the way. Sometimes it just dims almost all the way and comes back.
See, that's even worse.
Yeah. So
that's even worse. That's I mean, it's really cool. But, it's almost as cool as ParanormalSideshow.com. That's right. I'm going to say it again. Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow. On the Tweeter, it's @Sideshow97. On Instagram, Hot Full Moon, Scary House Dam. It's John and Stacey Edwards. On YouTube, search Paranormal Sideshow. And however you listen, whenever you listen, whatever you listen, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, any way you want to listen. If we're not on there, let us know. We'll get on there. Please share this love, share the show, share the the links. Let people know when you listen to it. If you're on Facebook, if you're on our Paranormal Sideshow Facebook, share the links when we put them out. We really appreciate it. We want to keep growing, and the show has been really almost doubling each episode. So we really, really appreciate every one of you out there, and especially all the communication we get. I love to hear from you. Stacey loves to hear from you, and we take it all to heart, every single bit of it. So with that said, I think it's time for some paranormal news. All right, so this is usually where Stacey comes on with her beautiful little voice and says, and now, we're going to get into some news, and I say, let's. It's our, our little thing, and I promise we'll get to that in just a second, but I have to tell you what happened. So just because I tell you guys everything, this is a unique gem of an episode. You're going to want to earmark this one, okay? So we had the bright idea of doing the full moon haunted episode.
Right.
And of course the light flickering stuff. So we stop the show and we go and try to debunk. Okay. So Stacey's like, well, maybe when the air kicks on,
right,
it's hooked on that circuit. So we went through the whole thing, had the air kick on, kick off, nothing.
Right.
I walked back and forth. I, played the part of a bug. I tried to, everything.
Right.
Nothing. So we get through all that and sit here and start discussing some things that it could be. And lo and behold, the damn thing does it again.
It just did it again.
just now?
Yes. Oh, that's funny. Okay, maybe we should stop talking about it.
Okay.
I think we're giving too much.
Oh, and look, I'm lit up again.
Too much energy over there.
Wow.
That's creepy.
All right.
These 3 a.m. shows. I don't know. I don't know about that anymore.
All right.
All right.
So let's go to the.
So let's get into some news, shall we?
Let's.
Okay. All right. So this first story, love this story.
Okay.
It is not alien related at all, or moon or space.
Just
or
quit
anything.
looking over there.
Okay. This is the one about Amelia Earhart.
Oh my God,
and
I love this.
The new evidence, the newly discovered evidence that has come out
I have
with
some
the
stuff on
photo.
Yes.
Yes. And there actually is a documentary that will be airing, I think this weekend, Sunday.
Yes.
10 p.m. And it's called Amelia Earhart.
Which is today.
I guess it is. The Lost Evidence. And they're going to talk all about this photo that they found, plus some other evidence. They were teasing other evidence also. But everybody's picked up the story, and I've seen the photo.
Yeah.
And it is very compelling.
Very compelling.
Yes.
With the other stuff, I mean, in the photo, if you want to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So the photo was found by accident. Like it was filed, and someone found it, and it is a picture of a woman that is supposedly Amelia Earhart,
right?
And she's sitting, and you can see the back of her, and they've kind of matched that up to photos of her, and basically said that could definitely be her.
Absolutely.
And then also in the picture is her navigator, Fred Noonan, and you can see him. He's actually standing there,
plain as day.
You know that that's him,
right?
And they believe that they crashed and were picked up by the Japanese.
Right.
And that somebody had taken this picture, and they didn't release the picture or talk about the picture because I think at the time it was believed that the picture was taken by somebody who was spying on the Japanese.
Right.
And so I guess it just got filed away, but somebody accidentally filed it in the wrong place, and some guy doing some research on something else found it.
Right.
Just recently.
So things don't happen by accident. Okay, so and this story was so compelling because as many mystery seekers, like us, even I always put over Josh Gates because I love the work Josh Gates does, and I love his book and everything. I like Destination Truth, and Expedition Unknown.
Yeah,
he did the full episode on the Amelia Earhart, and and it's the same thing with a lot of us. A lot of us seen the In Search Of episode with Bigfoot, and we're hooked. A lot of us seen Ed and Lorraine Warren's work and as kids and on certain shows, and we're hooked. There's certain little things. The Amelia Earhart mystery is up there with DB Cooper for me. I mean, it's up there, and it always has been because it's interesting. I mean, there's a romance to that, right? What gets me about this story is it falls into some things we talk about quite often.
Right.
A couple of things. The paranormal aspect of this for me is I don't believe in coincidence.
Right.
And I don't believe that this picture just happened to be found. I believe that some force made this coincidence happen and wanted this picture to be found.
Right.
To let us know something about this. If the picture is authentic, if everything is authentic about this, let me preface by that.
Right.
If it's authentic, this was meant to be found. The misfiling, it's like, oh, hey, they misfiled that. The problem I have with that now, and I love the article, because the article, the only person that kind of poo-pooed anything about spy stuff or anything was the representative of the Smithsonian.
Right.
As always.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I hate to always, I'm sure there are people at the Smithsonian who are fantastic and awesome. It's just like, I've got friends that are Masons. You know what I mean? It's we're not going after the whole thing.
Right.
I'm just saying that there's a lot of evidence out there. Giant bones, for instance.
Right.
There is a lot of solid evidence that there was giant bones recovered and just disappeared or got misfiled.
Right.
And we don't ever see them. Or you see the elongated skulls that get put in the back of the museum because they don't belong with everything else, right?
They can't fit them into their narrative, so they just stack it away.
Exactly. And right now we have this romantic story of this strong woman who was going to circumference the earth, and it was going to fly around the world. And she got lost, and it's the mystery, and it's in the history books. And there's all the stories and all the love affair with this story, right? The thought of it and the mystery of it.
Right.
Somebody keeps that secret. And if they come out, and a lot of times with the Japanese stuff too, it's weird. I love Japan. And absolutely love the Japanese people and the culture. It's unfortunate we ever had any odds with them, but it's also weird to me. It's kind of like the battle that we had in Alaska that was very similar to, Pearl Harbor. Not as many people died, but you don't ever hear about that. There's something with that that's strange to me. But they could have told us years ago. And the big problem I have is, yeah, they misfiled it, but why didn't they tell us when the war was over? Why didn't they say, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. We know where Amelia Earhart ended up.
Right.
Unfortunately, she ended up in a prison camp or, a prisoner of the Japanese.
They are saying that this photo suggests that, but the photo doesn't show her looking like a prisoner. She's just sitting there.
Yeah.
So, now it does say that they have some other evidence or something, but they say it does show that she possibly was in the custody of the Japanese, but it doesn't in any way insinuate that she was being held. She wasn't in any kind of ropes or handcuffs. She was just sitting there. They looked like they were just just relaxing, like, oh, my plane crashed or I can't fly right now. And they were just sitting there. They weren't
trying to figure out what they were going to do.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible photo by any means.
No, not at all. And that's, I guess, conclusion jumping. But there again, maybe she's like us and decided, oh, hey, well, I'm in Japan, dude, or I'm on an island from Japan. I'm gonna think I'll stay here.
Yeah, it's really pretty here.
The people are very kind and nice. No reason to go back. No, joking, people. But it's very interesting, and
it is.
Does it deepen the mystery? Does it rekindle? A whole new generation now can be involved in the mystery.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. I'm interested in this show.
Right.
Because I want to see the other evidence. I want to see, I
want to see how they put all the pieces together.
Right.
I want to see how they fit it together to make it work.
Right. It's very cool, man. It's kind of like the Nazis after the war and, all that stuff. It's all very mysterious, and we didn't get a lot of information back then. It was before the World Wide Web,
Yeah,
so,
I know. Well, this is it's a History Channel special, so it'll probably be done well and be very interesting.
Absolutely. Yes. Just really wanted to share that with you guys. And, by the time you hear this, I'm sure it's aired and you're like, dang it, but
maybe it'll be on demand.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, so let's get into our next story. So this one's really cool.
All right.
This one is about the new tunnel that was discovered under that pyramid at Teotihuacan.
Ah.
And this is a pretty recent
an awesome pyramid.
Story. Yes. It's
really
the Pyramid of the Moon.
Yes.
And they believe that they have found a tunnel that represents a passage to the underworld, or what they would have believed at the time was a passage to the underworld.
How very Egyptian of them.
Yeah.
Well,
apparently they found it using some kind of electric technology. Like, they haven't actually dug it out or anything.
Absolutely.
They've just done the scans. And
so excited about all the technology now that we can actually dig without digging, and
yes, without hurting anything.
Right.
Like, you can see it before you actually destroy
and then
anything.
Precision dig.
Yes. Well, the tunnel, it's long. It extends from the central square known as the Plaza de la Luna to the nearby pyramid. It's about 33 feet deep, and it's similar to some other tunnels that have kind of been discovered recently.
Right.
I think under
in
other
that
places.
General vicinity.
Yes. So they say that the Pyramid of the Moon was likely used for human sacrifice and other rituals.
Of course it was.
So they don't really know the exact purpose of this tunnel, but it's really cool that it's been found.
They're always like, what happened to the civilization? They sacrificed each other. I mean, quite often. You know what? Do you really think they did that much human sacrifice? Or
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe. It depends what the purpose of the human sacrifice was for.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I know where I would start in today's society.
Where's that?
Like if we had to like start doing some human sacrifice, I don't know. I think there should be a point system. Like you travel in the left lane on the interstate at 40 miles an hour. That's a point.
You get a point.
Yeah, you get a point. You go to the 10 items or less with a full buggy.
Right.
You get 2 points.
What if you go to the store in your pajamas?
Yeah, that's a point. That's a point. It depends on the situation with that. We couldn't really judge that.
I suppose.
Are we actually debating who we should sacrifice?
No. We wouldn't do that. But this is a very cool story. I hope that their next step is that they're actually going to maybe excavate a little bit, try and get into the tunnel.
Right.
It didn't actually say because it's still pretty new
Right.
discovery. And there's a lot of work going on in that general area.
It's very cool. And man, it's like with the Great Pyramid. Mm-hmm. There are so many secrets that are still under that sand and in this place under that dirt. I mean, it's just...
And we can say that they used it for this or that, but we really don't know.
No, I mean, so many mysteries are being worked on right now by archaeologists around the world. Mm-hmm. And it's almost weekly that we find something that either dates man back, thousands of years before, or hundreds of thousands of years beforehand, or things like this that gives us a little time capsule into what their daily life may have been like, or their beliefs or religious structures. And I love that.
I always love it when they find something that tells them something they never knew or changes what they thought. They're like, we thought this. Well, speaking of all of that, of human sacrifice and Mexico, I have this other story about the Aztec Tower of Human Skulls that they're uncovering.
That's so cool.
In Mexico City. Yes. So this is, there's like been tales of this Tower of Skulls that used to scare the Spanish conquistadors and things like that. And it was said to be the heads of defeated warriors. Now, this is at Tenochtitlan, which is now Mexico City, which is not too far away from the other place. Yeah. So all this time, there's been these legends of this Tower of Skulls and that it's the skulls of defeated warriors. And so archaeologists have started actually uncovering this Tower of Skulls. And this is actually located at where there was a temple that was used for human sacrifice. Wow. So what they've actually found is very shocking, that the skulls that are in the tower are not just men. Like they would have expected it to be young men, warriors. Right. There's women and there's children.
Well, that goes against what they did. Yeah. I didn't think they sacrificed.
They didn't think anything. They weren't expecting that at all. They weren't expecting it at all. So
the stories have been around. It's a legend. They didn't think it existed maybe. And is that the story?
Well, there were stories about the Spanish conquistadors being terrified because they saw this Tower of Skulls. And I guess it was just discovered. I think it was discovered a couple years ago, but they're just now actually excavating. And now that they are excavating, they're seeing that it's not just warriors' skulls. Wow. There's women and children. And I know that it is located in a place where there was a temple where they did things like human sacrifice and that kind of stuff. But they don't really know why these particular skulls are in this tower. It could have just been people that died naturally. Right. And instead of burying them, they put the skulls in the tower. They just don't know.
They have no idea.
They really have no idea now because it's all different from what they thought.
But it's very cool.
And they haven't even excavated down to the base yet.
Wow.
So who knows what else they're going to find.
Well, I have a question. Okay, so how big... Because I have this vision in my head right now, and how big is it?
Well, they believe that it's part of the temple of the Aztec god of the sun, and it is actually 200 feet in diameter.
Wow, the part they see right now.
Yes, the top part that they're actually excavating is 200 feet across.
Wow.
So it's like a circle, and it's
huge. All skulls.
It's all skulls. I believe that there are pictures with this article. If you look this article up online, there are some pictures of the excavation.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And it's very
nightmare fuel.
Creepy. Yes. I couldn't imagine working on that particular.
I would love it.
Excavation.
Are you kidding?
Very crazy.
It's just very wild. That's just, who would ever imagine seeing that or finding that?
Yet again.
Something that was written that
they thought they knew, changed completely. So,
wow. Hello, Troy.
well, let's move on. Now, this story is kind of cool. You're going to like this one. This is about a village.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so you know something crazy is going on.
We have defined the fact that, you know, if you live in a village and it's defined as a village,
you're in trouble.
You may be in trouble from the flying rocks from whatever deity it is that tosses boulders from last week's episode. We actually went through a village at some point this week, and
we were very careful.
Yeah, we kind of like did the speed limit, got out of there, made sure they didn't burn Stacey at the stake or anything. So,
well, this particular village is in panic.
Oh,
they're always in panic after a ghost has been cutting women's hair.
Oh.
Yes. So it's
I don't
really
like that ghost.
Strange.
I like long hair.
It's really strange how this happened. Supposedly it started off as a rumor and it got spread around on social media. But then the police have actually started getting reports. I mean, they've had like 12 different reports of people complaining that their hair was cut by a ghost in the night or when nobody else was in the house.
I mean, is it just taking off a couple of inches? Is it styling it?
No, I think it's just taking off a chunk and running away with it. It's crazy. So at least 12 incidents have been reported in the past couple of weeks. And the women are complaining that their hair is being cut by an unknown entity. And people are actually saying, you know, we were in our house, nobody else was there, or we were sleeping, or we all fell asleep and nobody woke up. But when we woke up, there was hair near the door.
Okay.
And it's a lot of different reports. And only 2 out of the 12 reports so far, they've determined that the person did it themselves.
Right.
Right. Because that would be your first thought.
Absolutely.
And so this particular article that I was reading was saying that the people that are actually benefiting from this are like the godmen, the healers, the people, they're known as bopas. It's in Rajasthan. And a lot of the families are visiting them asking for a way to ward off this evil spirit that's coming in and cutting women's hair in their sleep. And so I don't know why.
I mean, at the very worst, I mean, so I mean, what, they conjured a demon to go cut hair? I mean, it's still paranormal.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, this article was like, oh, these godmen are making all this money. And I'm like, what are they doing? Sneaking into the house and cutting the hair and then spreading it? I think they feel like they're perpetuating the rumor.
Right.
But is it really rumor if it's actually happening?
No.
Yeah. So see, that's a lot of reports. That's not like 1 or 2 people.
No.
That's 12 in a little village.
Right.
So I don't know. It's very strange.
I would like to know throughout history if there's been, I'm going to do some research.
Okay.
I'm going to pull some books. I would like to know if the hair cutting has been done before. Sounds very voodoo.
It does.
It does. Or that type of thing, you know, maybe using the hair for a purpose of making a likeness or...
Yeah, I mean, you would think so, but I know in some of the instances, people found the hair and it didn't actually get taken. Like it was there. It was just on the floor or near the door or something. And it's happened in this one village. And then there's a couple other villages where I think it happened. And they're supposedly very poor villages, small, you know, where, you know, people are very superstitious and that kind of thing. But like I said,
my kind of place.
I don't see, how could it be like a mass hysteria thing if people are actually getting their hair cut?
Right.
I mean, it's very strange.
The whole
thing's very strange.
Either way, it's insane. I mean, it's something crazy happening.
Right.
Regardless.
And the police don't know. I mean, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do? I don't know.
That's like the old argument, you know, with topas and stuff, you know, like, well, it's just because all these people thought about it and it created it. Well, you know what? It still created it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which one here is more crazy?
Right, exactly.
The fact that this being exists, or the fact that a bunch of people got together and thought about it and it existed.
Yeah, thought it into existence. Yeah. That's crazy.
No, I mean, either way, that's the whole part with me. You know what? I'm completely cool with just experiencing the weirdness. Yes. And, you know, either way. So that's nuts, man. And, you know, it's these places that still respect and keep those things alive.
Right.
that this happens at the most. You know, I would much prefer to be around a bunch of villagers than a bunch of skeptics. So
Yeah, I thought it was weird that they said that it started as like a rumor, like somebody putting it online, and
Right.
it wasn't a real thing, but now it is a real thing because it does make you feel like somebody thought it into existence.
Right.
I mean,
It does fall right into that category.
Yeah.
You know,
So
very
strange.
interesting.
Yes. Okay, so this next story, you're just gonna love this story.
I love them all.
So strange. It's about Hobby Lobby.
Oh yes.
And they were fined $3 million because they were caught smuggling in ancient Iraqi artifacts.
Okay, so let me walk lightly here. I'll
Okay.
tread lightly.
Okay.
I absolutely love the country of Iraq as far as history goes.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel that with me, people have like, well, they went there to get the oil. They went there to do. I would totally, if I had the power, go there to get the artifacts, or to see them or to dig in certain places. And when you've heard little stories leak out from, whether they're true or not, the stories have been out there about finding this craziness or that craziness. Mm-hmm. This story is just nuts to me.
Yes.
Absolutely bananas. Now, isn't Hobby Lobby like a religious based business?
They've been in the news for that kind of thing.
Kind of Chick-fil-A type stuff.
Yeah, for like their religious things. And in this article, the Hobby Lobby president actually said that the company began acquiring historical Bibles and other artifacts, and that they have this passion for the Bible, and that that's why they like to acquire these things. Now, it didn't say that they were acquiring Bibles.
Right.
Like some of these things, what's happened is some of the things that they were shipping in were mislabeled, and it was found that it was intentionally mislabeled so that they could get it into the country. Like things with actual etchings on it, and just stuff that I guess they probably shouldn't have been able to have access to.
So let me ask you this. What were they supposed to be shipping in from Iraq?
I am not sure.
Football mouthpieces?
Well, this has been going on for years. Well, no, things like tile, like ceramic tiles.
Right.
Like one thing was listed ceramic tiles, but it wasn't actually ceramic tiles. Like clay,
right?
Things like that. And so they're saying that they've agreed to adopt internal procedures to be more careful about what gets shipped to them. Like they were saying that they didn't know.
Oh, of course not.
That this stuff was being shipped and mislabeled, because when you ship something overseas, you have to write exactly what's in the package.
Right.
For customs and all that stuff. I've sent stuff overseas before. You have to be very specific.
Right.
And apparently the packages were not only not specific, they were said that they were coming from a different country than what they were actually coming from. So did they know? Did they not know?
Yeah, not paranormal, but man, woo.
Yeah, but it could be paranormal in the fact that what are they wanting to do with these ancient artifacts? Like, what's the purpose?
Yeah.
I don't see if just because you have a passion for the Bible that you're going to be, importing inscribed clay, ancient, words and things. I just don't understand what that would be for.
No, I mean, it's very Himmler of them. It's very
it is.
It's very interesting.
And I know I'm not going to point fingers and say that they did it on purpose, but
right,
it's suspicious.
We're looking at you, Hobby Lobby.
I mean, they got fined $3 million, so
Holy cow!
Somebody thinks that they've done it on purpose.
Wow.
So all right. Well, I have one more story here for
you. All right.
This one is just, again, not technically paranormal, but really, really funny.
Okay.
So this is the one about the image of the man at Pompeii. Now, Pompeii was a terrible tragedy. Absolutely terrible tragedy. And a lot of the people, when the volcano erupted, most of the people were killed instantly from the hot gas.
Right.
Now, a lot of them died from debris.
It's horrifying.
From ash. It was just the most horrific thing. But there was a large portion of the people that died instantly. They didn't feel anything.
Right.
So whatever they were doing at the time is how they were preserved.
Absolutely.
So someone has found this man that had been preserved, and he looks like he's in a very precarious position.
Right.
making himself feel good in his
Right,
last
in little
moments,
ways.
maybe.
Right.
I don't want to just come around and say it. So
Why did you buy the accused a new pair of gaiters?
so, so there was no debris around him.
Right.
So it's thought that he was actually in his act of pleasuring himself.
I got you.
When he died.
Yeah, you don't have to spell it out.
So it's very interesting and it's pretty funny.
It's I don't know, it's really hard to imagine. And I want to be very sensitive about what happened there.
Right.
Because it's terrible.
It is terrible.
But what an explosion. You're just not really expecting that,
What a terrible thing to be way to get caught.
Yeah.
In your last moment on life, preserved forever.
It's,
he was probably in the privacy of his own home, Yeah,
absolutely. I mean,
he didn't think anybody'd ever know.
It's, Billy, one of these days you're going to get caught. I wonder if there's a kid they're going to find one day, whose face is still like that. You know what I mean?
If you make that face, it's going to stay like that.
It's going to stay like that forever.
Oh, that was so true.
But I'll tell you, volcano. I mean, if I see a volcano pop up, and there's a few things I might do if I had the time. That's probably near
probably near the top
near
of the
the
list.
top of the list. I mean, why not?
Well,
what a way to go! I mean, that guy is boss level.
Well, there's a lot of people saying that maybe that wasn't what he was doing. Maybe he just fell that way.
Yeah.
Maybe his hand just happened to fall there. Maybe he was standing up and doing something else. Maybe he was peeing.
Maybe he was the town drunk, and they were just like, "Hey, Fred, put it out." I got it.
I'll take care of it.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's pretty interesting. It's funny that nobody's ever pointed it out before now.
Maybe people had better manners for the last,
probably. And,
ever since they've been visiting there.
Before social media.
Right.
And all that.
Yeah.
So.
Some kid's like, "Hey, look what he's doing."
Light just flickered.
The light just flickered. All right.
So anyway, that is all of my news.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's very interesting. So this is normally the part, kids, where we go into the main attraction. Mm-hmm. But we are, dishing out a lot more shows. And so, main attractions will be there, but news shows will be there, and maybe just a topic. This would be a topic considered elephant in the room for anybody in our paranormal circles.
Right.
Been a story circulating around recently about the TV show Ghost of Shepherdstown.
Yes.
And there was some articles come out that Nick Groff, in the show maybe had some things that were staged or less than authentic.
Yeah.
And, whenever you see a story like that and you're in the field, it bothers you. And what really bothers me is the onslaught at that point,
right,
of people not knowing both sides or even checking both sides and just going nuts on it. I've seen stories over the years with Aaron Lee's Ghost Adventures or infighting here. Or,
right, and then you have the situation where you have the first story and then all the other subsequent stories maybe misquote the first story,
right,
or change the facts a little bit, and then
absolutely
you just don't know what the truth is.
So, and I want to address this for a couple of reasons. One reason being, I have went on record as saying what I think should happen to somebody if they were ever caught faking evidence.
Right.
And that's where we get the Shetland ponies, because I don't want to kill anybody. I just want to cause them severe discomfort.
Exactly.
So we draw and quarter them with Shetland ponies.
Yes.
So it doesn't really kill them. It
just causes pain enough that they won't do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And of course I say that jokingly, but it does anger me whenever I've ever heard of anything like that. Now, with this particular story, it came out, I was just like, whatever, I don't particularly believe it.
Right.
But I also know TV. And even filming local self-produced, self-made documentaries, we have had to deal in the past with a producer or somebody saying, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we found these boots for no reason at the bottom of steps, and they belong to somebody or something and they weren't there before. And we're like, absolutely not.
Yes.
If we don't catch anything, and it's kind of always been our tagline.
Right.
If we don't catch it, you won't see it.
Right.
So a lot of people always want to say, well, the paranormal shows, they're fake.
Right.
And I get that. If your paradigm is restricted to, if your belief structure is restricted to not believing that paranormal is possible,
right,
then you're always looking for stuff like this,
right,
to explain it.
Exactly.
And to be able to say, well, it's just entertainment and, that's all it is. Well, it's not. It's not just entertainment. It's real. The paranormal phenomena is real. And as far as proof, everybody's like, I don't have the proof. Well, I do. And if you want to sit with me for 15 minutes, I'll get you some more proof, as much as you want. And under the strictest scientific conditions, we will get you your proof with audio, with direct answers, with direct responses. So I get a little fired up about things like this because the evidence is there to get. Okay. Now, I'm obviously not on the set.
Right.
I do not know what happens on this show. And we'll go into more about this show and the response from Nick Groff here in a moment. What I want to talk about is a few things over the years that has happened. I've been in the paranormal, researching the paranormal actively for 20 years this year, and with Stacey. A variety of teams, variety of our own documentaries that we've done, working with the Ghost Brothers team this past year. And if I would have ever suspected that there was a team that maybe faked something or did something less than reputable, it would have been a team like maybe the Ghost Brothers, where it was like more comedy driven, and I wouldn't.
Or maybe they hadn't done it as long.
Right, they hadn't done it as
that.
long. I would have thought, what, the producers could talk them into anything, right?
Right.
Until I worked with that show, and I didn't believe that was the case. But I'm saying if I were to believe that, it would be a show like that. And when I got on that show, it 100%. We went through the story, we went through the history, we did the walkthroughs, we normal investigation stuff, and honestly, the honest answer to that show was the evidence that was collected on the show was 100% real. I was there.
Yes.
We had the SLS spirits, we had the audio, we had the disembodied voice, just a couple of minutes in. If anything, they actually omitted evidence that I have on my personal recorder still.
Right. Well, that kind of goes towards the whole point of how the producers from the TV network who actually have the control over your TV show, I don't care whose TV show it is, the ones paying for it at the network that don't do paranormal investigating and don't understand it, they have final say and they want to tell a story. So they're going to use the things that tell a particular story. And if that means omitting evidence because it doesn't fit into that story, then that's what they do. Right.
Because they're having to tell that certain story. And that's the one thing of getting to know several producers of some paranormal television shows that I will keep unnamed, the shows and the producers. I do know that they have to deal and they have to constantly fight with people over them. Hey, we're trying to tell this story. We want to tell the story of Mary. And, we don't want to hear anything about Frank or Billy or John. We want to tell the story of Mary.
Right.
And sometimes you just don't get anything from Mary. So you might not even see anything but like one EVP or something.
Right.
And not every show is going to be like that, but some of the people that we know that are on shows, that's been the only thing for us that's kind of, like, oh man, that sucks. Don't, you need to use all the evidence. I'll go back to a conversation I had with the wonderful lady Tina from Waverly Hills, the sweetest woman in the world. And, we were talking to her about a Ghost Hunters episode when Taps came there.
Yes.
And she said, as good as that was, And as cool as everybody remembers the thermal footage of the, I believe it was the third floor of it walking across the floor.
Right.
And back then, there wasn't any other, there was one show in town and it was them. And
right.
everybody's seen that and they're like, oh my God, we got to go to Waverly Hills. Like she said, there's things that they didn't put on there that happened, I guess fitting a story or whatever.
Right.
So, a lot of times at the end of that show, you get like 2 EVPs when they've had, 10 or 15 or whatever. So that's been our experience with stuff not adding up. But if anything, it's been more credibility.
Right.
Than less. And my experience from being from a show that I would have thought, okay. And then completely having nothing but credibility for those guys.
Right.
Great job, great crew, people that are passionate, they care about what they did. The audio guys, the camera guys, the any kind of producer that was there in the field, producers back in LA, they all love and care about what they're doing and the story. And they would say vehemently, we don't want any shenanigans. And a lot of times we'll get these guests to come on here and they'll say they have these great stories or they can get this evidence, and then they'd let us down. Right. And so they were really excited when we got there, and this, we had a disembodied voice in the first 2 minutes. So now, especially when I see these stories of people coming out, well, that's all fake. And for doing it this long, I know that I go in a building that's active and I'm going to come out with, probably 10 to 15 quality pieces of evidence. If I'm there for an entire night, quality pieces of evidence, provided that is an active location.
Right.
So yeah, obviously I believe, what I'm seeing on there. So for those who don't believe it, they're just not going to believe it until it happens to them. Okay.
Exactly.
But back to the Shepherdstown deal. All right. Once again, we don't know what's going on with that show, but I think it's unfortunate that the way the story came out, and Nick Groff actually put out a response to some of the accusations that had been made against the show. And I believe they're starting their second season.
Yes.
And I'm going to read it.
Okay.
He says, "Hi, everyone. I started to see some questions about the authenticity of Ghost of Shepherdstown, and I just want to clear the air for you all as we go into season 2 next week. My fellow investigators, Bill Hartley and Elizabeth Saint, and I work closely with production, the local researcher Dana Mitchell, and the town of Shepherdstown to ensure that all the witnesses' stories are told accurately. All of the witness accounts that we investigate are real. Unfortunately, an online outlet took a quote from Marianne Davis, the director of Shepherdstown's Visitor Center, out of context from an interview that Marianne gave to a local newspaper earlier this year. Marianne was not interviewed by this outlet, nor any other that shared the story. Marianne is a lovely person who cares passionately about her community and has been a great resource and ally for us filming. After talking with her today, Marianne said, we're looking forward to the new season and introducing new visitors from around the world to Shepherdstown. And to help her set the record straight, I wanted to share the full context of what Marianne said when she did an interview with a local newspaper back in January. You'll also notice that in the interview, she never states parts of Ghost of Shepherdstown are staged and fake, as referenced by other online outlets. Now, the link is here. We'll have the link on the website with this response. Thanks to all of you for the support, and I hope that you'll tune in on Monday night at 10, 9 Central to watch the Season 2 premiere on Destination America. Have a great day. Signed, Nick Groff. Now, that's his response to the controversy, if you will. But it's in this day and age that we're in, one person could put out a story and it doesn't have to have substance. It doesn't have to have, it can be unnamed sources.
It could just be their opinion.
It can just be their opinion, and it can be wrapped in a nice little neat online magazine article. And if somebody wants that to fit the narrative they're trying to give you, they will share that. And they will put a little comment on top of it. Put
a big clickbait headline just to get clicks and views.
Right.
And
we always knew. And again, Stacey and I want to say if there is anything that's not on the up and up, shame. We all know your name.
In Nick Groff's defense, I will say that this is not the first show he's done. He did Ghost Stalkers.
Right.
With John Tenney and Chad Lindbergh. And, you know, I don't feel like there was any kind of foul play on that. I mean, there wouldn't have been.
No, John Tenney would not be involved. He wouldn't be within 2,000 miles of foul play.
Right. And see, that was something that Nick Groff was heavily involved in with the same network. So I think that shows what his character's like a little bit, that, you know, he's not just going to make this show and try and fake stuff to make it good. So
the field that we're in is very sensitive. Okay. There's a lot of opinions, and there is a lot of varying opinions that cause great conversation. And that's the way it should be. It should be your opinion, my opinion, because neither one of us know. And we can talk about it, and we either, you know, agree to disagree, or we keep researching and sharing ideas. The field, though, is also sensitive in the fact that some people are just not going to buy into it. They're just not going to believe what they're seeing.
Right.
And it's not for them. So it'd be nice if people could live and let live, and, you know.
Right.
But if you ever fake something, even on your own team, you know, if you ever fake something, you are jeopardizing every bit of work we've ever done.
Yes.
Because the one thing that comes out, and I'll tell you, man, Stacey, even on our evidence, when I do the evidence, when I do the audio evidence, I bring it to her, and she absolutely goes over it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that it's not an inaccurate voice that was in the room, or something else that was going on. She likes to back it up with the video if it's audio. You know, so that's how painstakingly we take and respect our evidence. And I know most of the paranormal investigators that we're friends with throughout the country, throughout the world, do the same thing. Because when you have the one fake or the one false piece of evidence, it destroys the whole bunch.
It does. Yes.
And so, you know, if you are on a team and that's ever happened, you'll understand what I'm saying. You know, when you have that one person who, you know, it's different than the person who always feels something or says something. That's just the annoying person on the team.
Right.
I'm talking about someone who actually says, you know, throws a rock and says, "Did you hear that?"
Right.
You know, that person is going to end up in a desert somewhere if they're on my team. But we got to be careful. And I think we also need to be careful with accusations, because it's not just hurting them.
Right.
It could hurt you. If you're in the field, once that gets out there, everybody cites that as the source of the reason they don't believe any of it.
Right. And you know, don't just share it around because it's the popular story.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you don't have all the facts.
Right. I don't share that stuff anyway, but if you do share it because it's interesting, I would maybe form it as a question.
Right.
You know,
right.
Boy, I wonder what's going on here. And I did see several people that did that. They shared the story and they were just like, well, I wonder what's going on here, you know.
Or they gave their opinion.
Yeah, they gave their opinion, which is completely okay. You know, it's just when you use this as end all be all proof, I guess what we're saying is, holy cow, don't trust anything you read online.
Exactly.
Because it's probably somebody that's sitting at home just coming up with the story and taking stuff out of context and everything else. So I'm glad Nick replied to this.
Yes.
Instead of just letting it go. Because a lot of people would. A lot of people would have been like, you know what? I'm just going to leave that be. I'm not going to address it. So I'm glad that he addressed it, and he addressed it quickly. He gave sources, and he
explained what happened.
Yeah. The source they gave, he said, here's actually what she said. Here's the original article they stole that from. So if anything, it discredits the original online place, which we're not mean people, so we're not going to sit here and say the name of that, you know, give that any kind of power whatsoever. Anyway, we wanted to talk about it. We don't usually do that kind of stuff, there wasn't even any jokes in that, so I apologize. All right. Well, we had some very interesting news.
We did.
I mean, I really love the news this time. It was really good. And we had a lot of weird stuff. So you guys have been with us for the Full Moon Madness episode. And it's definitely been that with the flickering lights and the weird feelings. And holy cow, we were like, hey, let's go do it. Let's knock out this quick show. And
it wasn't quick at all.
It wasn't quick at all. But, you know, that's that kind of stuff that happens. ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to find out everything Full Moon Kooky. Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow. More full moonness. On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. Find us, love us. On Instagram, Hot Full Moon Damn. It's John and Stacey Edwards. YouTube, search Paranormal Sideshow. Have a good time. And iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, however you listen. We really appreciate it. Like I said, you know, the show's growing and we love each and every one of you. Even you, the Catholic commenter. We love each and every one of you. We really do. From my lovely wife, Stacey, my name's John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.